The mockery of Earth's old fleet. The Galactic Council was a gathering of the universe's most powerful alien species, each representing different corners of the galaxy. They gathered in a massive, shimmering hall, floating in the depths of space. The walls were made of a translucent material that allowed them to gaze out at the stars. Yet it was not the stars that commanded their attention today. It was the latest news from Earth. Earth's fleet, a collection of warships dating back centuries, had just made its presence known across the galaxy. The message they sent was simple. Humanity was back. But the Council did not take this seriously. The humans had been silent for so long, their ships old and forgotten. They were seen as nothing more than relics of a time long past. "Can you believe it?" said the leader of the Zarkan race, a tall alien with sharp, gleaming eyes. "The humans think they can compete with us. Those old warships haven't been active in centuries." Another member, a small alien from the Vera system, laughed. "They are barely ships. Their so-called fleet is nothing more than junk. The humans should have stayed quiet and stayed out of our way." The room filled with laughter. Every alien in the chamber joined in, mocking the idea of humanity trying to challenge the mighty galactic empire. They all shared the same belief. The humans were too weak, and their ships were obsolete. However, not everyone in the room shared this opinion. A lone observer, an elder being known as Elfar, watched silently from the back. His skin was as smooth as the surface of a planet, and his eyes, though wise and ancient, seemed filled with concern. He had seen countless civilizations rise and fall over the eons, and yet there was something about this human fleet that made him uneasy. As the others laughed, Elfar stood up. His voice was calm, but there was a weight to it, as though he carried the burden of knowledge the others did not. "You underestimate them," he said quietly. The laughter stopped. All eyes turned toward Elfar. "Explain yourself," the Zarkan leader demanded, narrowing his eyes. "Those ships, though old, were designed with technology beyond your comprehension. The humans may not have the numbers, but they make up for it with sheer willpower. You may laugh at their relics, but I have seen this story play out before, and I fear we are making a grave mistake." The room fell into an uneasy silence. Elfar's warning echoed in their minds, but it was quickly dismissed. The Galactic Council had never been defeated. They had conquered countless worlds, wiped out entire species, and broken every resistance that had dared to challenge their rule. How could a group of old human ships possibly pose a threat to them? "Enough of this nonsense," the Vera leader sneered. "We will show them the true power of the galaxy. Let them send their ancient fleet. We will wipe it out with ease." And with that, the conversation shifted back to their plans. They mocked the humans, belittled their strength, and assumed that their technology, the pinnacle of alien engineering, would easily crush Earth's outdated warships. What they did not know was that Earth's fleet had been dormant for centuries, forgotten by the rest of the galaxy. The ships were ancient, yes, but they were far from powerless. On Earth, deep within a secret military base hidden beneath the surface of the planet, something stirred. The long-forgotten warships, rusted and aged, began to hum with life. It was a faint sound at first, like an old engine starting up after years of disuse. But soon, the hum turned into a roar. The ship's ancient systems, though dormant for so long, came back online, one by one. The command center buzzed with activity. Officers who had long been preparing for an unknown future watched in disbelief as the old ships powered up, their once dormant engines roaring to life. These were not just any ships. They were the last remnants of humanity's golden age, when Earth ruled the stars. Their weapons, though ancient, were still powerful enough to make even the mightiest alien warships tremble. The awakening of Earth's might. The galaxy, with all its advanced civilizations, was still buzzing with laughter and doubt about Earth's ancient fleet. From the Galactic Council to every powerful empire that had ever crossed paths with humanity, no one believed the humans could rise from their centuries-long silence. Their warships, relics of a time long forgotten, were seen as mere scraps, faded memories from an era that no longer had a place in the vast cosmos. However, back on Earth, a different reality was unfolding. As the warships powered up one by one, the vast underground facility hummed with energy. The shipyards, once quiet, were now alive with motion. Thousands of engineers, soldiers, and scientists rushed through the complex corridors, monitoring every system. The warships were old, very old, but they were far from forgotten. Commander Jackson stood at the heart of the command center, watching the massive screens that now displayed data coming from the ships. His heart raced. The battle stations were being manned, the energy shields were powering up, and the weapon systems were being calibrated. These ships, relics as the aliens had called them, had been built with an unmatched level of humanity's ingenuity. Though their technology might have seemed outdated, there was one thing the Galactic Council failed to account for: the human will to survive. Status report. Jackson barked, his voice sharp and commanding. All systems are operational, Commander, one of the officers replied, their face illuminated by the glow of the screen. We've managed to bring the most critical ships online, and all vital systems are responding better than expected. We're ready to engage. Jackson nodded, a sense of pride swelling within him. He knew that this would be humanity's defining moment. They were no longer the forgotten species, the ones laughed at by the powerful and mocked for their ancient ships. No, now they were a force to be reckoned with. At the same time, across the galaxy, the Galactic Council was preparing for what they believed would be a routine battle. After all, what threat could an old, outdated fleet possibly pose to them? They had heard the reports, seen the data of Earth's supposed revival, but they dismissed it all as nothing more than a joke. The Veira, Zarkan, and many other races were convinced that their overwhelming superiority would crush the human challenge before it even began. "We'll show them what real power looks like," the Zarkan leader had said earlier, his laughter echoing through the council hall. This will be over before they even know it. But what they didn't know, what they couldn't possibly understand, was the strength that lay dormant in Earth's fleet. The ships were not just old, they were forged in a time of great human ambition and relentless innovation. Weapons that had once been unmatched in power and precision were now ready to unleash their fury once more. On Earth, the first ship to power up, the Defiant, sent a ripple through the fleet. The colossal vessel, once considered a relic, came to life. Its massive engines hummed, and the hull's once dulled surface gleamed as its sensors activated. A long-forgotten fleet had awakened. The moment of reckoning had arrived. Jackson stood at the heart of the command center, watching as the first signals were sent to the ships in deep space. These ships were equipped with weapons and technologies that even the Council had never encountered. Their ancient designs, heavy, powerful, and unyielding, were made for endurance, not speed. The humans weren't the fastest, but they were about to prove that raw power and relentless spirit could win the day. "The ships are ready to deploy," Jackson declared, his voice calm but filled with determination. "Prepare for launch." The atmosphere was electric with anticipation. The engineers and officers worked swiftly to ensure everything was in place. In the heart of space, humanity's fleet began to move. The ships, though massive and slow, were a sight to behold. Enormous warships that could easily eclipse anything the aliens had ever encountered. Meanwhile, light years away, the aliens were still mocking humanity. The Zarkan fleet, the Veira Armada, and other galactic powers continued to believe the Earth ships would never reach them in time. They had too much firepower, too many ships. The humans had no chance. But as the first of Earth's warships glided through space, the aliens began to feel an unease that they couldn't explain. There was something different about these ships, something that didn't belong to the galaxy they thought they ruled. The Defiant led the charge, its weapon systems coming online. Its railguns, designed to tear through even the toughest alien armor, powered up. The ancient shields hummed as their energy fields were restored. The ship was a fortress, a symbol of humanity's unyielding will to protect its own. With a slow but unstoppable momentum, Earth's fleet moved forward. The warships began to travel through the galaxy, approaching the first of the alien outposts. Every alien watching was still convinced that this would be an easy victory. But as they saw the massive fleet approach, they could no longer deny that something had changed. The relics were awakening, and the galaxy was about to feel the full force of humanity's might. But the aliens had one final advantage: their speed. They had the ability to maneuver, to hit fast and retreat before the human fleet could react. Or so they thought. As Earth's ships moved closer to the first of the alien fleets, a quiet realization started to settle in. The human warships weren't just coming. They were determined. Their commanders were ready. And their firepower was stronger than anyone had predicted. The stage was set. The galaxy would soon witness the return of Earth's ancient fleet, and they would learn an important lesson. Never underestimate the power of humanity. The first strike. An unexpected assault. As the enormous warships of Earth glided silently through the dark void of space, the tension between the two sides grew. The alien fleets, still convinced of their superiority, continued to laugh among themselves. They couldn't possibly imagine that the humans, with their outdated ships, would pose any real threat. But what they failed to realize was that the power of Earth's fleet didn't just lie in its ships. It was in the hearts of the men and women who piloted them. Commander Jackson paced back and forth in the command center of the Defiant, his mind racing. The initial launch had been successful, and now it was time to engage. He had seen the reports of alien forces massing near the asteroid belt, a key choke point in the galaxy's trade routes. It was here that Earth's first strike would make its mark. "Prepare for full engagement," Jackson said, his voice calm but filled with a quiet intensity. "We need to hit them fast and hard. No hesitation." The crew of the Defiant responded immediately. Technicians ran final checks on the ship's weapon systems, while the officers continued to monitor the alien fleet's movements. Outside the vast window of the command center, the stars shimmered, unaware of the impending battle that was about to shake the galaxy. The first few moments of the battle would be critical. The alien fleets, led by the Zarkan and the Vera, had established a defensive perimeter, but they were still unprepared for what was about to happen. The Zarkan commander, Valtharn, had been dismissive of humanity's capabilities, even mocking their old warships. But that would soon change. As the human fleet approached the edge of the asteroid belt, the first sign of resistance appeared. A Zarkan destroyer, sleek and fast, darted toward the Earth ships, its weapons locked and ready. It was a swift, calculated move, designed to strike first and test the resolve of the humans. But the Zarkan ship was not prepared for the sheer firepower that was about to be unleashed. "Target locked," said Lieutenant Kane, the weapons officer aboard the Defiant. "We're clear to fire." "Fire at will," Jackson ordered, his voice steady as ever. In an instant, the massive railguns of the Defiant roared to life, sending a barrage of high-velocity projectiles toward the approaching Zarkan destroyer. The missiles hit their mark with deadly precision, tearing through the enemy ship's shields like paper. The destroyer tried to return fire, but it was too late. Another barrage from the Defiant struck the ship's core, causing a massive explosion that ripped the Zarkan vessel apart in a spectacular flash of light. The shockwave reverberated through space, a clear message to the rest of the alien fleets. Earth was no longer a target to be underestimated. "Direct hit. The Zarkan ship is down," Lieutenant Kane confirmed, his voice a mix of excitement and disbelief. They never stood a chance. But Jackson didn't let himself relax. This was only the beginning. The aliens would retaliate, and Earth's fleet had to be ready. Within moments, the rest of the alien armada began to react. Dozens of ships began to accelerate toward Earth's warships, their weapons charging up for the impending assault. "Here they come," said Commander Jackson, his eyes narrowing as he watched the alien fleet draw closer. "Hold steady, everyone. This is going to get messy." As the two fleets met in the asteroid belt, the sound of battle filled the vastness of space. The human warships, though slow and lumbering, were incredibly tough. They absorbed the initial blasts from the alien forces, their shields holding strong. The Defiant took several hits but continued to fight back with unmatched fury. Its cannons unleashed an unrelenting barrage, while its railguns shredded anything that got too close. Meanwhile, the other Earth ships, including the Relentless and the Invincible, joined the fray, adding their firepower to the battle. The aliens, initially confident in their advanced technology, were now beginning to realize just how much damage these relic ships could do. The human warships were like walls of destruction, throwing everything they had at the alien attackers. One of the alien leaders, Commander Zekthor of the Vera fleet, watched in growing horror as his ships were destroyed one by one. "How are they doing this?" he growled, watching his best ships crumble before the humans' relentless assault. These ships should be powerless. But the truth was beginning to sink in. Humanity's warships, once thought to be outdated relics, had become the most powerful force in the galaxy. Each ship was like a fortress, designed to endure, designed to fight until the last breath. The battle raged on, and Earth's warships stood strong. The aliens could not keep up with the sheer firepower of the human fleet. The remaining Zarkan and Vera ships began to fall back, their commanders unsure of what to do. "Commander, they're retreating," Lieutenant Kane called out, a tone of disbelief in his voice. "The aliens are pulling back." Jackson watched as the alien ships began to retreat, their once confident formations scattered. It was a clear victory for humanity. But Jackson knew this was only the beginning. The aliens may have retreated, but they would return, stronger, faster, and more determined than ever. "We've won this battle, but the war is far from over," Jackson muttered to himself, his gaze fixed on the retreating alien fleet. This is just the beginning of their awakening. As Earth's fleet began to regroup, they prepared for the next phase of the war. The galaxy would never look at humanity the same way again. The human fleet had proven one thing beyond a doubt. They were no longer the underdogs. They were now a force to be reckoned with, and they would stop at nothing to protect their home. And for the aliens, the lesson had been learned the hard way. Underestimating humanity's power had been their greatest mistake. The alien counterattack, unrelenting fury. The silence of space was broken only by the hum of Earth's warships as they floated through the void, victorious in their first battle. However, Commander Jackson knew that the aliens wouldn't just retreat and let humanity's fleet go unchallenged. They had made a mistake, and now they would come back stronger, angrier, and more determined than ever. "We can't rest yet," Jackson muttered as he stood on the bridge of the Defiant. "The aliens will regroup. They'll be back with everything they have." His officers, battle-hardened yet still processing the gravity of their victory, nodded in agreement. They all knew that the battle they had just fought was only the beginning of something much bigger. Far from Earth, in the depths of the alien-controlled star system, the Zarkan and Vera fleets were already rallying. Their commanders had underestimated humanity's resolve and strength. Now, they would correct their mistake. "We've underestimated the humans," Commander Veilfarn of the Zarkan fleet admitted, pacing back and forth in the dark command center of his flagship. "Their old warships, what we thought were relics, are far more dangerous than we imagined. It's time to strike back. We will destroy their fleet once and for all." The Zarkan fleet had lost heavily in the first engagement, but Veilfarn had a plan. He would gather reinforcements, bring in their best ships, and attack Earth's fleet with everything at their disposal. They would overwhelm the humans, crush their outdated ships, and prove that the aliens were still the true rulers of the galaxy. "We will crush them," he vowed. "Prepare the fleet for immediate launch. We attack Earth within the hour." Meanwhile, across the galaxy, Earth's warships were already preparing for whatever was coming. The fleet had suffered some damage in the first battle, but nothing that couldn't be fixed. The human soldiers, sailors, and officers were ready to fight again. They had faced the alien threat head-on, and now they were more determined than ever to protect their home. Commander Jackson stood before his crew, looking out the massive viewport at the stars beyond. "This is it," he said. "The aliens have tasted defeat, but they won't stop. We need to prepare for their next move. We're not just defending Earth anymore. We're defending everything humanity holds dear." Lieutenant Kane stepped forward. "Our fleet is ready, Commander. The warships are being refitted and are fully operational. We're more than ready for whatever the aliens throw at us." Jackson nodded, his expression grim. "Good, but don't get too comfortable. The Zarkan and Vera are not going to make the same mistake twice. They'll come at us with everything they have. We need to be ready to strike first this time. We can't wait for them to come to us." As if on cue, the sensors on the bridge began to hum. The technician at the console called out, "Commander, we're detecting large energy signatures. The Zarkan and Vera fleets are approaching. Fast." Jackson's heart skipped a beat, but he didn't show it. He turned to the crew, giving his single decisive command. "All ships, prepare for battle. We take the fight to them." The human fleet was ready. They had proven their strength, and now it was time to show the galaxy that Earth would not back down. They would fight for their survival and their future, no matter the odds. As Earth's warships accelerated into the depths of space, their targets in sight, the alien fleets began to form up. The Zarkan and Vera had joined forces, bringing their most advanced ships to the battlefield. This time, they were not just looking for revenge. They were hunting to wipe humanity from the stars. The tension in space was palpable. The vastness of the galaxy seemed to shrink as both fleets drew closer, their weapons primed and ready. The first skirmishes were just moments away. The question was no longer if the warships would fight, but when the first shots would be fired. Jackson's voice broke through the silence. "It's time to show them what we're made of." As the two fleets closed in, the vast ships of the Zarkan and Vera began their relentless assault, launching volleys of missiles and energy blasts. But Earth's warships were ready. Their shields held firm, absorbing the first wave of attacks. Then, in an instant, Earth's warships roared to life once more, firing back with their own devastating weaponry. The Defiant fired its railguns, sending explosive projectiles straight into the heart of the lead Zarkan flagship. The Zarkan ship shuddered under the impact, its shields flickering as its armor was torn apart. The Relentless and the Invincible followed suit, unleashing waves of firepower that slammed into the alien forces. But the aliens weren't ready to concede defeat. They retaliated with deadly accuracy, their ships firing back with a viciousness that shook the human fleet. The battle had escalated quickly, and the first signs of destruction were already visible. Explosions rocked both sides, ships exploding into brilliant bursts of light as the war for the galaxy raged on. In the chaos of battle, Jackson's mind remained focused. He knew that Earth's warships were tough, but they couldn't keep taking hits forever. The key was to stay on the offensive, keep pushing forward, and break through the alien defenses before they could regroup. As the fight raged, Earth's fleet showed its true strength. Their ships were not just relics. They were the cutting edge of human ingenuity, crafted for survival, for victory, and for revenge. The aliens were in for a rude awakening. "We are not the underdogs anymore," Jackson muttered under his breath, watching the battle unfold. "We are the storm." The second major battle had begun, and the stakes were higher than ever. The alien fleets were unrelenting, but Earth's forces were more than ready. The fate of the galaxy hung in the balance as the two sides clashed, with humanity fighting not just for survival, but for the future of the stars. And the aliens were about to learn that underestimating humanity's power was the greatest mistake they could ever make. "You said, the tide turns," Humanity strikes back. The fierce battle in the cold emptiness of space raged on, and the once confident Zarkan and Vera fleets were now beginning to falter. The initial shockwave of the human fleet's power had thrown them off balance, and they were now struggling to regroup and reclaim their footing. "Commander, they're not giving up," Lieutenant Kane shouted, pointing at the tactical map on the display. "The alien fleets are launching more attacks, but they're slowing down. Their formations are disorganized." Commander Jackson clenched his fists. "Good. They've underestimated us again." He looked out into space, where the distant stars seemed to witness the destruction unfolding. The human fleet had suffered losses, but they were not done. Far from it. "Signal the fleet to increase their offensive," Jackson ordered. "We're not just defending anymore, we're taking the fight to them." The Defiant and the other warships surged forward, their weapons firing at maximum capacity. The railguns hummed as they sent projectiles crashing into the alien ships. The missiles erupted from the human ships, piercing the alien shields and ripping into the hulls of their once proud vessels. Earth's warships had been underestimated as old relics, but now the aliens were learning that their firepower was anything but outdated. The human fleet's relentless push continued, moving deeper into the heart of the alien formation. The Zarkan and Vera fleets had expected the humans to retreat after the first wave of battle, but instead they were finding themselves pushed back, one fleet after another. "All squadrons, focus fire on the enemy flagship," Commander Jackson barked. "That's where we'll make our stand. Take down their leader, and the rest will crumble." The human warships, coordinated and precise, fired in unison, their weapons targeting the enemy flagship. Explosions rocked the alien ship, sending shockwaves throughout the battle. The Zarkan fleet, though formidable, was no match for the humans' tenacity. The Vera fleet was faltering as well, their once proud ships now breaking apart in pieces, pieces that drifted aimlessly into space. As Jackson watched the unfolding battle, a strange sense of pride swelled in his chest. Humanity had long been thought of as the underdog, an insignificant species in the grand scale of the galaxy. But now, the tide was turning. Humanity was showing the galaxy that they had the power to stand up, to fight back, and to win. But the battle was far from over. The alien forces were regrouping. From the depths of the chaos, new ships were arriving, reinforcements that were far stronger than anything the humans had encountered before. They were the alien empire's elite force, and their vessels were unlike anything Earth had ever seen. "Brace for impact," Jackson shouted as enemy ships surrounded them on all sides. "They've sent in their best. Don't back down." The human warships, battered but not broken, fought with a fury that matched the anger in Jackson's eyes. The tide had begun to turn, but the final victory was still elusive. The Zarkan and Vera forces had their elite fleet, but humanity had something far more powerful, the will to survive. In the thick of the battle, a sudden, terrifying sound erupted through the bridge of the Defiant. A loud alarm blared as the ship shook violently. A massive explosion tore through the outer hull, causing the bridge crew to brace for impact. "Damage report," Jackson shouted, his voice steady despite the chaos around him. "Major hull breach in Sector 12. We've lost power to the main engines," the technician reported, his face pale. Jackson didn't hesitate. "We can fix this later. Right now, we fight. All crew to battle stations. We will not fall." The alien forces continued their assault, but Earth's fleet stood strong. Commander Jackson knew that they were not yet victorious, but they were making progress. Every shot fired, every vessel destroyed, was a testament to humanity's resilience. The war was not over, but the aliens were beginning to realize that Earth was no longer a target they could ignore. "We've come too far to lose now," Jackson muttered to himself. "This is humanity's fight, and we will win." The battle for the galaxy was far from decided, but with each passing moment, it was becoming clearer that Earth's warships, once mocked as relics, had become the force that would shape the fate of the universe. The alien empire's retreat. The battle raged on, but the tide had shifted. The Zarkan and Vera fleets, once confident in their dominance, now found themselves on the defensive. The human warships, having withstood the initial assault, were now cutting through the enemy's lines with precision and force. The previously mocking alien fleets were retreating, their formations crumbling as they scrambled to escape the wrath of Earth's warships. On the bridge of the Defiant, Commander Jackson stood tall, his eyes fixed on the tactical display. The enemy's retreat was evident now, and the human fleet had the upper hand. But Jackson knew better than to relax. The aliens had no intention of giving up without a fight, and they would regroup, sending in their last-ditch forces to end this war. "We need to push harder," Jackson muttered under his breath. "Now is not the time to let them escape." His words were not lost on the crew. They had seen how much damage their fleet had already caused, but they also understood that the final victory was not assured until the last of the enemy ships were neutralized. The aliens, for all their technology and arrogance, had underestimated humanity's resolve. And now, they were paying the price. "Commander, we've received a transmission from the Zarkan fleet," Lieutenant Kane reported. "They're offering terms of surrender." Jackson's brow furrowed as he considered the proposal. Surrender? They've caused us enough pain, destroyed enough of our colonies. What makes them think we'll show mercy now? They're asking for a ceasefire. They're offering to withdraw their forces from our territories if we spare their lives. Kane continued. Jackson turned away from the display. His fists clenched. They think we'll negotiate with them after all this. After they mocked us. After they thought we were weak. No, we don't negotiate. We obliterate. The bridge crew stood in stunned silence. They had expected Jackson to consider the offer, to at least acknowledge the possibility of peace. But instead, he had made his decision. The humans weren't interested in surrender or mercy. They wanted victory. All ships, prepare for full assault. Jackson ordered. We will not stop until the last of them has been driven from our galaxy. Make sure they understand. Humanity is not to be underestimated. The human fleet, now emboldened by their successes, surged forward. Their weapons, once thought to be outdated, now roared with deadly intent. Every shot, every missile, every strike was a testament to humanity's strength. The Zarkan and Vera forces, now desperately regrouping, realized they were facing something they hadn't planned for. A force that wouldn't back down. A force that wouldn't stop until the fight was finished. Incoming enemy ships, the sensor officer shouted. They're sending in their final reserve forces, elite warships. Jackson's eyes narrowed. This was it, the aliens' last chance. The final battle to determine the fate of the galaxy. The human fleet had already taken a heavy toll on the enemy. But this new wave of alien warships would be unlike anything they had faced before. We've come this far. There's no turning back now, Jackson said with determination. We destroy them all. No mercy. As the human warships prepared for the final confrontation, the alien ships appeared on the horizon. They were massive, their sleek, intimidating designs dwarfing the ships in the human fleet. But Commander Jackson wasn't intimidated. He had seen the strength of the human spirit, and he knew that no matter the size or power of the enemy, the humans would fight to the bitter end. All weapons, fire at will, Jackson ordered. The battle erupted in a storm of chaos. The human warships unleashed a barrage of firepower that shook the fabric of space itself. The alien ships, despite their advanced technology, couldn't withstand the intensity of the human onslaught. Explosions lit up the dark void of space as the alien fleet began to fracture. For every alien ship that fell, the humans grew bolder, more confident. They had learned that they could face any threat, no matter how daunting, and emerge victorious. The human fleet was relentless, pushing deeper into the alien formation, their weapons tearing through the enemy defenses. The once proud Zarkan and Vera fleets, now shattered and broken, had no choice but to retreat once again. Their elite forces, once thought to be invincible, were now nothing more than damaged remnants of their former selves. The tide had turned, and the Galactic Empire was beginning to understand that humanity was not to be trifled with. But the battle wasn't over yet. There was still work to be done. The human fleet, battered but not broken, pressed on, determined to finish what they had started. The aliens might have had the advantage at the start, but now it was humanity that stood victorious, proving once and for all that they were a force to be reckoned with in the galaxy. And as Commander Jackson watched the last of the alien ships flee into the distance, he knew one thing for certain: humanity had arrived, and the galaxy would never forget it. You said, the aftermath. A new era begins. The battle was finally over. The hum of the engines, the crackling static from the communications channel, the flashing red alerts. Everything had come to a sudden, eerie silence. The once feared Zarkan and Vera fleets were now nothing more than debris scattered across the void. The galaxy was quiet, but the echoes of the conflict lingered in every corner of the universe. The human fleet had delivered a message loud and clear. Humanity was not to be underestimated. Commander Jackson stood at the helm of the Defiant, his gaze locked onto the void where the battle had raged. The victory was complete, but there was no triumph in his expression, only a sense of quiet determination. All ships report in, Jackson ordered, his voice steady. Make sure the battlefield is secure, and gather the remains of the enemy fleets. We need to send a message. His words rang through the bridge, and soon the reports came flooding in. The remnants of the alien fleets were being swept up, ensuring that no trace of the enemy remained in their wake. But even as Jackson surveyed the destruction, he couldn't shake the weight of what had just transpired. Commander, we've received a transmission from the Galactic Council, Lieutenant Kane reported, his voice calm but tinged with anticipation. Jackson turned sharply. The Galactic Council. They had watched from afar, perhaps too proud to intervene, too sure of their own superiority. Now they were probably watching with a mix of disbelief and fear. After all, they had never expected humanity to show this kind of strength. Patch it through, Jackson ordered. The screen flickered to life, revealing a holographic image of the Council's representative. His face was stern, his posture rigid. For a moment, there was silence. The representative's eyes scanned the room before he spoke, his voice laced with a mix of respect and caution. Commander Jackson, he began, it seems we have underestimated humanity's strength. The Galactic Empire's defeat is a turning point, one we did not foresee. Jackson stood straighter, a sense of quiet pride in his stance. He had known this was coming. The Galactic Council could deny it all they wanted, but humanity had proven its worth. You've seen what we're capable of, Jackson replied, his voice firm. You've seen the cost of underestimating humanity. Now you will have to reckon with that. The representative's expression shifted slightly. We recognize that the balance of power has changed. Humanity has earned its place among the stars. But we must be clear. This war is over, but tensions remain. The Zarkan and Vera may be gone, but there are others who might see your rise as a threat. Jackson didn't flinch. We're ready for whatever comes next. Humanity doesn't just survive. We fight, and we win. The council representative paused, considering his words carefully. We acknowledge your strength, Commander. But remember this, power alone does not keep the peace. What you do next will determine whether humanity becomes a beacon of hope for the galaxy or a force that threatens its stability. Jackson's eyes narrowed. He had heard this before. The words of the council were empty until proven otherwise, and humanity would prove itself. We will be both, Jackson said, his voice unwavering. A beacon of hope for those who need it, and a force that destroys anyone who threatens our way of life. The galaxy will learn to respect humanity. The transmission ended, and the screen faded to black. The silence on the bridge was deafening. The crew exchanged uncertain glances, but Jackson's calm, resolute demeanor reassured them. Prepare for the next phase, Jackson ordered, breaking the silence. Humanity has proven it can fight, but now it's time to show that we can lead. The crew of the Defiant went to work, their movements purposeful, their focus unwavering. They had survived, they had triumphed, and now the next chapter of their journey was just beginning. Out in the depths of space, far beyond the reach of Earth, the remnants of the Zarkan and Vera fleets drifted aimlessly, the last vestiges of their once proud empires now reduced to nothing but debris. The galaxy, once a stage for their arrogance and power, now had a new player, one that would not be swayed, one that would never bow. The humans had arrived, and with them, a new era had dawned. The age of underestimation was over, and humanity had made its mark, leaving behind a legacy that would echo across the stars for generations to come. As Jackson stared out at the vastness of space, he knew that the true test was yet to come. But one thing was certain: whatever the future held, humanity would face it head-on, with unwavering resolve and unmatched strength. The galaxy would never forget the day that humanity proved its power. And now, it would never be the same.